Howdy, folks. This is Rory over at the Daily Coin, and this is part two of my interview with Dave Kranzler. They have these markets on complete lockdown. And without any further ado, here we go.
I think right now, the seeds have been sown for World War III.
I don't think that the Russian people are going to not back Putin. I think that the Russian people like him enough that if he comes out and says we're being financially attacked by the United States, that they're not going to that they're going to believe that, because there's too much blood on the United States government's hands for the people the world over to look at it and not at least question it. They may not accept it, but they will. But if that seed is planted, then there's gonna be people that are gonna be asking questions, and I think that a lot of people would be. Just like right now, and we're not. I mean, and no offense to your intelligence state, but if you can figure that out, and I have an idea of it, people that are a whole lot smarter than us have already figured it out, right?
Well, I agree, and I think that that's the tragic flaw in the human condition, is that you get these guys who get into power and control everything, like we have in this country, and their ego outweighs their sensibility. And that's why I think you're going to eventually have a clash between the Russia-China bloc and the United States.
Yes.
The United States isn't going to accept anything short of complete world domination, or the Western bloc, whoever you want to say is behind what the United States is doing. I mean, there's a great argument that it's really the BIS and the ultra elite, call them, Western international bankers, right?
Yeah.
Rothschild, Rockefeller,
right,
Kissinger,
the real
a lot
scum.
of guys you don't even hear who they are. But if you go and you look at the committee that runs the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg Group, those are your guys. All right. So anyway, whatever. Just use the United States as being the front man for it.
Yes.
I don't think that block of people, they're so ego-oriented. I mean, these guys think they're God. They've been so wealthy for so long, and they've had their way for so long. And look what they're getting away with in this country. I mean, just the Patriot Act alone.
Just the Patriot Act alone.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. This is what I was thinking about yesterday, because as an English major, I was always interested in the notion of the absurd. It's kind of tied into existentialism and just the absurdity of human behavior. And think about this. How absurd is it that the Federal Reserve, and everyone's been stressing out and agonizing. There were probably guys on Tuesday night that were losing sleep over whether or not the Fed was going to change it from considerable time to patient. Right?
Yes.
And you get these guys, and they sit there and they debate and argue over, well, I don't know. If they leave it as considerable time, I think the markets drop. But if they change it to patient, we should have a big I mean, but think about how absurd that is. Yes. Someone tell me the difference between the definition of considerable time and the definition of patient.
They're identical.
There's no difference. You could maybe, if you really wanted to get anal, and I don't watch CNBC anymore, maybe Steve Leisman sat there and was pulling, I could see him with like Oxford English Dictionary, Merriam-Webster English Dictionary. Oh, here's an old English dictionary. Let's see what the difference in meaning is between considerable time and patient. Okay, well, he's got beads of sweat going down his bald head. I think patient might mean that they might raise interest rates a little sooner than what considerable time might mean. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, these guys who are pulling the strings at the top, they got to be laughing their ass off, because I would be. I'd be in my room watching this, and I'd be laughing. I'd be, hoisting champagne glasses. Oh, we pulled another one over the idiots.
Yeah, they're laughing all the way to their gold vault.
Right. Think how absurd that is. The whole thing focused on considerable time or patient. And you got this old woman who looks like someone's grandma, who looks like she just got off the couch from doing needlepoint and watching a soap opera, and she gets up there and she tries to explain all this. It's like, are you kidding me? I mean, you can't make this up.
It's a clown show.
It's a clown show. This should be a Broadway comedy.
It is. It is a Broadway
And
comedy. It's just brought to us, weekly or monthly or daily, depending on how much you tune in. It's
that's
just
right.
it's
And that change in those words got us from the time it was announced, 2:15 New York time or whatever time it was, to 10:30 New York time today. So basically, less than 3 hours of stock market trading. It got us 70 points on the S&P of upside
because of one word.
because of replacing considerable time with patience. 3.5%. That was good for a 3.5% value increase in the stock market. I mean, come on. How can you take any of this seriously? I mean, really what they've done is they've just trivialized everything
Everything.
anyone does in this country to try and make their life better and improve their lot in life. And I was talking about this earlier with a colleague of mine. Unfortunately, the guys that do what we do and are involved in the precious metals sector, we see what's going on and we get it. And we've been feeling pain now for the better part of 3 years because of the market intervention, the market manipulation, and the crime and corruption and fraud, et cetera. And the thing of it is, there's like a whole body of people out there who have been able to keep their jobs. They got a nice salary, live in a nice home,
Yep.
and they think everything's fine. Oh, yeah, I mean, whatever the Fed did, it must have been good because my stock portfolio went up.
Yep.
And the thing of it is, they don't realize this, but the same 2x4 that's already, the 2x4 that we can see being swung at our head, they have no idea it's coming. And
Right.
most of them are going to get hit by that 2x4 and they won't even know it's there until the last second.
Well, they didn't see it coming in 2006, 2007, 2008. They had no clue then.
About 2000.
Okay,
Internet
2000.
bubble.
Thank you. So,
How about 1987? I remember I was working on Wall Street back then. I remember portfolio insurance. I don't know if you remember that.
yes, I do.
Portfolio insurance. Fisher Black, the Black-Scholes guru, had developed this stuff called portfolio insurance, and a money manager can put it in his portfolio, and he's got no downside risk. Well, maybe if the S&P falls, 1 or 2%, it works. But and I forget the exact day, October 1987. We had like a 21% drop in the S&P, and people thought it was going to be the end of Wall Street back then.
And that's when the
That's
plunge
when
protection.
Greenspan just tweaked up the money supply, and I don't know how long it took. Maybe 6 months later, onward and upward.
Well, and that's when the plunge protection team was put into place, also.
That was 89. I mean, the Exchange Stabilization Fund has actually been authorized, I think, since 1936. It was put in place as a currency stabilization mechanism because we were already moving away from the gold standard back then, and it included, it included gold as a currency, so it was okay for them to manipulate gold because if it helped them stabilize current cross exchange currency rates, that's what the original Exchange Stabilization Fund was for. It was always there. It was always supposed to be self-funding. And then the 87 and 89 crashes, that's when the working group on financial markets was formed, and that was to not only stabilize currencies, but to make sure that a stock market decline wasn't disorderly. Like it's
Right.
okay to let the stock market go straight up to Pluto.
Yeah.
But you can't let it go straight down to correct itself. And then actually what happened was Robert Rubin moved into the government, and that's really when, during the Clinton administration, is really when the working group on financial markets and the exchange stabilization fund was pretty much used to manipulate everything.
Everything. I mean,
Everything.
and that's
And now it's like, I mean, they have this market on complete lockdown.
and, and that's global markets, right? I mean, because wasn't LIBOR born from that, or was it the other way around?
No, LIBOR's been around, but
But I mean, as far as what's going on with the manipulation of LIBOR,
well, yeah, they well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if they can manipulate. Well, maybe maybe they can manipulate everything globally because, like I said, the U.S. is behind. It might not be behind the full drop in the ruble, but they're definitely behind the recent plunge.
well, I mean, but you said earlier, that the SWIFT system was the nerve center and it's the heartbeat of everything. And so, wouldn't they be able to go through backdoor SWIFT and create whatever world they want to create? I mean, seriously,
Well,
because
the SWIFT system is just that the dollar. That's the system that's used to settle, international trade with dollars.
yes,
Everything moves through the SWIFT system. So the U.S. like when India wasn't going to join in on the sanctions on Iran because India wanted Iran's oil,
right,
right? And the U.S. shuts down the SWIFT system because
yes,
that's a way for them to force India to try and play ball. And then India says, "Screw that! We'll just send gold to Iran,
right,
and Iran will sell us oil." And that's what they did.
yes,
And I think it was this. I think it was actually when the U.S. exercised its control over the petrodollar by using the SWIFT system as a weapon like that. I think that's when Russia really started looking into. I mean, it's not like they just started developing an alternative to the SWIFT system in the last year.
no, I know
Yeah.
that.
So, and I think Russia, and I'm sure China's behind it.
Well,
Um, and maybe China is sort of. I mean, Russia is sort of China's front in this. I think Russia is just like, you know what? We're not going to give the U.S. this power. We got to take this power away, or they're going
right,
to take over everything.
right,
That's
and
where I think we are now. I think you got this BRIC consortium, primarily Russia and China, flexing their muscle against the U.S. and well, call it the Western interests move to try and take control of everything.
I want to ask you about the BRICS because uh, on SGT report, Sean and I interviewed Rick Rule, and during that interview, he seemed to think that the BRICS, uh, the BRICS alliance, and more importantly, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. He made a comment that they may not be around, that they may not make it because, and I'd ask him a question regarding the importance of palladium. What because he knows palladium, but what do you think about that? I mean, as far as these coalitions, just kind of falling apart. Personally, I don't see that happening. I don't see that the BRICS. I only see the BRICS um, organization getting stronger and stronger all the time. And hear me out for just a second. You have Rousseff, who is the president of Brazil. When the NSA blew up a couple of years ago, Brazil said, we'll start our own internet. We'll run the line through South Africa, through India, through China, and it'll end in Russia. It'll end in Moscow. And it will be devoid of any Google. It'll be devoid of anything Western. And it won't be allowed in. And now we have the BRICS Development Bank. That's China. That's their baby. We have the SWIFT system. That's Russia's baby. So now we have three huge, 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 huge components that are controlled, that are being developed, that are being funded by three different countries that all work in tandem. I don't see the BRICS going anywhere. And now you have the gold that is in South Africa, you have the platinum and palladium that is in South Africa, They're the second largest or the first largest producers of gold. They're the largest producers of platinum and palladium. These are massive. Uh, they play a big role in global manufacturing and in air pollution, palladium, as far as controlling automobiles pollution. So I ask you, developing three massive global scenarios that are designed specifically to work in tandem with each other and that are designed to be outside of the American Western banking, criminal, corrupt organization. He didn't go
He
into
doesn't
any
have a
of that.
reason. You just gave a great explanation.
Well, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which you and I have discussed before, along with Alistair McLeod, I've talked to him about it as well. And the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, when they are fully developed, and they're not done yet, they're far from being done with their development. When they have everything locked up, they will represent north of 50% of the global population.
Dude, it represents something like, 3/4 of the world's population.
There you
I
go.
mean, I've been aware of the SCO for, I don't know, I used to subscribe to the Privateer, and Bill Buckler first mentioned it, I don't know, at least 4 or 5 years ago. I wish he was still around because he always had great information, and he was way ahead of everyone. And back then, Iran wasn't even, they had just been invited to be an observing member. They weren't like a formal member of it. Now they're a formal member.
Right.
So, look at the natural resource base in that consortium.
Yes.
I think Iran is, I don't know, third or fourth largest oil producing country in the world.
Yeah, I think
I think Russia may be the largest. Okay. I always thought it was Saudi Arabia, and then I saw something, a while ago that alluded to the fact that Russia is the world's largest producer. Maybe they're the world's largest exporter of oil. I don't know, but you've got an enormous resource base there.
Yes. That includes the actual resources that make our current globe operate. The way that our global world is set up right now, they have control of the resources that make that function. They have the copper, they have the iron ore for the steel, they have the gold that creates the money, they have the oil that creates most of our power. China is manufacturing solar panels at breakneck speed, and it has plans to incorporate solar into that. That being a huge part of their go forward energy policy.
We have a company in the stock portfolio of the fund that I manage, and this company is actually headquartered here in Denver, and I know them really well, and we've owned it for a long time. But speaking of copper, they actually have a 51% ownership interest in kind of a backdoor way in a massive copper deposit that sits in southeast Russia, not too far from China. This thing is massive. They think this is something that, if it's as big as they think it is, it's bigger than any of these copper gold porphyries that you see in South America. It's huge. And they were over in China recently, meeting with 4 different Chinese mining concerns. A couple of them are the largest. And then I think they're in negotiations right now to sell off their interest in this deposit in Russia, but it's right near China. So it's like, and the transportation systems from where this mine sits into China are tremendous. It's giant. And then they also have another, they don't have a controlling interest, but they've got a joint venture interest in another gigantic copper deposit that's I think it's in Serbia or something, but it's in the part of the world where it's in the BRIC fold, in the SCO fold, not the US fold. Russia people don't really realize, I think, and the only reason I'm aware of this is because of the mining companies that we're invested in that have been poking holes in the ground in Russia. Russia has just an unbelievable resource base. And I'm
Yes.
sure that's why China's now, they're going to get oil from Russia now,
Right.
and they're going to do oil and do it in their. I mean, what's lost on everyone? Why are these countries, especially China, why are they accumulating as much gold as they're accumulating?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
No one's even talking about that.
What's the plan?
Are you still there?
I'm here.
Right. So why would they be doing that? Do you think we're going to wake up one day and find out that China and the United States are in bed with each other? I don't think so.
No. No. I think that I can't remember who it was, but I was speaking with someone. Oh, it was Rob Kirby when I was talking to him, and he was saying, that China's just sitting there watching everything unfold in front of them. You know, watching the United States fall on its own knife. And that's why they're being quiet. Why get
That's what I
involved?
think's going on here. I think uh, I think that what we're seeing here is the last gasps of desperation by a body of people who control the West who are desperate to keep control of the power they've had since the dollar, well, really since Bretton Woods, but even more so since the dollar was completely disconnected from the gold standard.
I would say further back than Bretton Woods. I would say since the inception of the Federal Reserve. I think that the Federal Reserve, the inception of that monster, is what gave these guys the ultimate weapon.
Well, that's right. That got the ball rolling, and
Right.
then over time they finally were able. But really, ever since World War II, and then since the U.S. kind of squashed the Russia and got rid of the Cold War, um, really the U.S. has been in control of everything.
Yeah,
Or at least been the front man for whatever entity is called the BIS, the people who run the BIS. I don't know, but it's Western. It's a Western
yes,
control faction, and they've been in control of everything. And all the wealth has been kind of sucked, the rest of the world, and a lot of it's been sucked into the United States. But it's been fictional wealth.
fictional.
How wealthy would the United States be, or how much of what we see around us would have been possible if the U.S. hadn't been able to issue all the debt that it's issued
Right, and
over the last 30
and
years?
and I really like because I'd never thought of the SWIFT system in the way that you described it a minute ago. I really like that because that is a huge, huge part of how they've been able to do it. Because if you've got the on-off switch, if you control the pipeline to the financial world, literally, then you can do whatever you want to. And that's why I really think that they were used that they and this is just pure speculation on my part, but I believe that there's probably a piece of software that runs in conjunction with the Swift that says manipulate the LIBOR, manipulate this market, manipulate that market, the global markets, the FX market. I mean, all of these massive global markets that we know are rigged. Not only do we know that they're rigged, they've been brought to court. They've been fined. Nobody's been to jail, but they've at least been fined, and it's on record that you, dirtbag, are guilty. Well, we can't use the word guilty, but and I think that that's a big part of what the SWIFT system is. Why would, and if not, why would Russia pour as much as they have into developing the alternative to that system? And it's supposed to come online in May. It's supposed to be launched and up and
Mm-hmm.
running in May. And they have put every ounce of everything that they have into getting that system up and running. And in spite of what's happening right now. And I think that your analysis is spot on as far as Russia and the ruble and what's happening right now in regards to the SWIFT system. I think that that they have spearheaded that the alternative to the SWIFT system specifically because of that, because they know that they're using the SWIFT system as a global weapon in much larger ways. Like I said, rigging the LIBOR, rigging FX, rigging everything, that they're able to rig all of these global markets through that system. Because if you think about it, that system is plugged in to every major bank in the world. And where does the money come from? It flows through every major bank in the world. So it would only make sense that if you've got a piece of software that's sitting over here on the side doing its thing, and in conjunction with the SWIFT system, they can do whatever the hell they want to. I mean, or am I just completely out in the woods here?
No, the SWIFT system is the central nervous and circulatory system of the dollar's reserve status. Russia's threatening that right now.
Big time. Well, they're going to hit it.
And again, I just sort of circle back. There's no coincidence. The biggest and most vicious attack on the ruble came shortly after Putin announced he was going to start testing the SWIFT alternative, the SWIFT system alternative.
And that's it. I mean,
it's really it's easy to kind of figure out what's going on if you're willing to think like a criminal.
Well,
right? And that's how, I figured this out 10 years ago, and it was easy with Bush in office because you knew all these guys were criminals.
Right.
And I would just sit there and I would run through the mental exercise of, okay, well, and this is after 9/11, right? And it didn't take me too long after 9/11 to figure out what the real deal was. Or at least, we don't know exactly what the real deal was, but pretty much, that it wasn't the way the government said it was, right? And so after that, I was like, you know what? This is easy. If I were in their shoes and I was a criminal, what would I do next?
Yeah.
Hey, Patriot Act, Homeland Security Act,
yes.
Detainee bill, let's take away these guys' rights, and let's do it in a way that they won't even know it, because they're going to think that we're putting in all this legislation to protect their safety and protect them from terrorists.
Yes.
Terra. We're going to protect them from Terra. Remember, that's how W talks. He had a pipeline to God, apparently. We're going to protect them from Terra, and this is what God told me to do. We're going to protect you. Well, guess what? We didn't protect you. We just stripped you of all your constitutional rights, and you don't even realize it.
Don't even realize it.
You
welcomed it.
Most of this country, they've had the wool pulled over their eyes, and they don't even realize it. It's been ingenious. It's been ingenious if you're not willing to think like a criminal. You think like a criminal, and it's pretty easy to figure out what's going on. And that was the genius of Obama. People were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. First black president, politically incorrect if I voice my disagreement with a black man.
Yes.
I'm a racist if I do that.
Yes.
I've heard people say that. You disagree with Obama, you're a racist. Really? No. Well, what if I disagree with Bush? Does that mean I hate white people?
That makes you a racist too.
Yeah, reverse racist. But it was like people have been willing to give Obama way more leeway than they were willing to give Bush.
Well, but
yet
why is that? Because 1 in 6 Americans have food on their table because of Obama.
That's true. Well, that program was already in place.
In place, but he's grown it. He's grown it exponentially.
That Social Security disability.
Yes.
I've been complaining to people about the SSDI program for a long time. And especially with lawyers, you can't, because lawyers make a lot of money off of it. They make a lot of money getting people signed up on it. And there was an article that came out, I forget where it was, a reputable publication came out and just eviscerated the SSDI system and talked about how, these lawyers, make it seem like they're doing a benefit for people, but they're doing it because they're making a ton of money. And not only that, taxpayer money pays for the legal fees involved if you sign up with a lawyer and he gets you SSDI, the taxpayers pay for his legal fees.
Oh, that's nice.
I always thought it came out of the SSDI payment that the client got, but it doesn't. The taxpayer pays for it.
Jesus. Wow. Well,
Rory, they got us coming and going.
yes,
And
they do.
unfortunately, and I kind of thought this about a year ago, but now I'm convinced. I think that this is just going to keep getting worse until the dollar collapses,
Yes.
and we may not see that happen because we may be in the middle of World War III. I think the U.S. would rather start a world war than be forced into a position where they had to open up the Fed vaults for everyone to look at. Because when they open those doors, there's nothing but dust in there, dust and mice.
Correct. Yes, that's it. That's all you're going to find.
Think about what the implications would be if because there's a lot of people who aren't willing to believe that the gold's not really there. If they can't see it, if the Fed says it's there, well, it's got to be there. They wouldn't lie about that. I mean, they lie about everything else. They wouldn't lie about that. But think about it, if for once and for all, okay, come on, let's just open the vaults. Let's see what you got. They won't even open the vaults.
Right.
They wouldn't even open the vaults for Germany. Germany wanted to see the vaults.
Right.
They showed them one vault, and I'm sure Germany didn't say, okay, well, can we check the serial numbers and see the warehouse receipts and match that with whose bars these are?
That's what Peter Boehringer is pushing on. That's the
It's
guy.
not going to happen, though.
No.
Peter Boehringer is nothing. He's nothing. He's not part of the elitists.
Yeah, he's not in the club. That's for sure.
He's not in the club.
He is not in the club. So it'll probably go the same way as the Swiss gold vote, this gold initiative.
Right, exactly.
Never be allowed to happen.
It would be even worse for the German government if they had to go to their people and say, we trusted our gold with the U.S. and it's gone. We can't get it back. There probably would be an uprising over there.
Oh, I would think there would be. I mean, I would think that would happen pretty quickly.
Over here, no big deal. Oh,
no gold, no problem.
Let me go home and see what's going on in the voice.
I was going to say the Kardashians.
Survivor. I got to get home and watch Survivor. Oh, we don't have any gold? That's okay. Here, I got to turn Survivor on.
Right. It's all good. Survivor's still on, so shoot.
Yeah,
must be fine.
Doesn't matter if we don't have any gold. I got to be able to get access to Survivor.
Oh Lord. Well, let's end it right there, Dave. Otherwise, we'll go on for another hour. Well, we've been talking with Dave Kranzler over at Investment Research Dynamics. And Dave, why don't you tell the folks about your website and your services?
Well, I've got the blog is try to be a truth seeker blog. Sometimes it's a little bit of a rant blog. And in conjunction with it, I like to think I offer some unique analysis, and I try to back up all my assertions with links, source links. There's going to be some opinion on there, of course, but it wouldn't be a blog. And then in conjunction with that, I also offer some, I think, unique stock research. And right now I'm focused on junior mining stocks and home builders because I think the home builders offer a great short opportunity. And my research reports go in depth behind the numbers, and it's analysis and presentation that you won't find anywhere, especially from Wall Street research reports. So, and I offer those for a very modest price. In fact, my latest research report is on a company that, despite the latest spike higher in the home builders over the last day and a half, if you had just shorted 100 shares of this stock when the report came out, you'd have made like 10 times the cost of the research report. So that's that. And then I also manage a very, very small, well, at least smaller than it was 3 years ago, precious metals and mining stock hedge fund. Okay. And we actually have, even last year, we outperformed our benchmark index. I think this year, because of our concentration in the juniors, we're probably going to underperform. But, at some point when this stuff turns around, our fund is going to be a grand slam home run.
There you go.
But hey, thanks for having me. And
we can find that at investmentresearchdynamics.com.
Yes, investmentresearchdynamics.com.
All right. And the links to your reports are right there on the site.
Yes, front page.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, Dave, it's been always a pleasure, always insightful, and I greatly appreciate all of your time this morning. It's been awesome. So,
thanks for having me. I always love talking with you, Rory.
Yes, we do seem to have a good time.
Absolutely. You, Sean at SGT, and
Yes.
Eric, News Doctors.
Eric Dubin, yeah.
And John at Silver Doctors. You guys are all great guys.
We try. But we will talk with you soon.
Thank you.
All right.